What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Daily Energy Newsbeat Stand-Up here on this gorgeous Thursday, March 2nd, 2023. As always, I'm your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in Dallas, Texas, joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, EnergyNewsbeat.com, Stuart Turley. My man, how you doing today?
Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Lots on the news desk.
Yeah, you do have a great show for us lined up. We're going to start off talking about how evidence says offshore wind development is killing lots of whales. That's the title of our first article. And as I will say, that's comes as a shock to nobody that when offshore wind is killing a lot of wildlife. The next article we have lined up for today's show, guys, India coal is back in business. It's again comes as no shock to anybody that India is buying as much cheap energy as possible. And India, the new slogan is "Make coal great again." Next article we have is "World needs collaboration or collaborative competition to capture U.S. $4 trillion long duration opportunity." I don't quite get the title of this one, but basically what it's talking about is how this clean energy deployment is going to happen, who's going to fund it, where the money is going to come from. Stu will dive into what this article says. Next one we have is Mexico approves new Tesla plant in northern Mexico. Elon Musk diving into the Mexican economy head first. Stu will cover what that move means for all parties. And then finally, Schlumberger New Energy to target billion-dollar opportunities only. If you were to go look at, and specifically, this is their new energy division. So now Schlumberger is going to be building wind farms. So should be fun. We'll see how it lasts. So that's what Stu's got on the article front. I will go ahead and quickly cover what happened in the crude oil and natural gas markets. Crude being up to 77, 75 as we record this the night before is pretty good. Natural gas trading at $2.78. Again, I will cover all that in a bag of chips, guys. But first, check us out. World's greatest website, EnergyNewsbeat.com. Dashboard.EnergyNewsbeat.com is our other place for data news combo. We are hard at work at V2. So stick with us. But all of the articles that we reference, you can hit the link below and check us out and check out the articles. Email us questions at EnergyNewsbeat.com. If you want to just roast what Stu's doing, please feel free. Or me, by the way, even though there's not much to roast. But yes, send us in all your thoughts. I'm out of breath though, Stu. Where do you want to begin?
Hey, let's always start with one of my favorites. I'm an ESG kind of fan. Evidence says offshore wind development's killing lots of whales. This article is different. We've had several, and Michael, the articles on the whales are going off on Energy Newsbeat. The results are appalling. The evidence seems clear that the offshore wind development is killing whales by the hundreds. I'm looking at the article. Did somebody put in a picture of the view? All the women lined up is renewable.
No, I don't see it in there.
You're not seeing the whales? The view.
No, I'm not seeing an image.
Okay. All right. Here's the statement as it NOAA says that it has been studying what it calls usual mortality events involving 174 humpback whales along the East Coast since January 2016. Holy smokes, the unusual mortality data is astounding. Basically, the humpback death rate roughly tripled starting in 2016. And here's the part that that everybody's just ignoring is they had 7 in the first 2 months of this year. And everybody was saying, oh, it's only 2. It's only 7. No, all the evidence is now showing it's hundreds. This is a real problem.
I love the classification unusual mortality event. I mean, that's a nice way of saying like this reminds me of the way they were just classifying people. If you just showed up to the hospital, you had COVID.
Right.
This screams similar. It's all comes from the same funding source. I'm only half kidding. I mean, I mean, I said it in the open, Stu. This comes as a shock to nobody that you put up these huge offshore wind platforms in primary habitats of these whales. You're going to have some incidents. I'm sorry. Just conveniently, there's no whales in the Gulf of Mexico. We just luck out. I mean, if that was a big issue, you don't hear about any of the offshore wind in Gulf dealing with this because conveniently there are no whales there. Now there's other wildlife you're probably
Right.
impacting, the birds, but I mean, oil and gas deals with that too. I don't want to just say, oh, we're better than everybody else. We are, but we're not flawless. You know, so
But the key difference, though, is the vibrations of floating windmills of the vibrations mess with their directional systems.
They're chi, all the birds chi.
Okie dokie, bless you. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And you don't see a picture of the view in that article?
I don't.
Somebody's messing with me because it's right under the quote. The results are appalling. The evidence seems clear that offshore wind development is killing whales by the hundreds. And then there's Whoopi, there's all the other members of the View. That's nuts.
Yeah. I'll have to reach out to the editor and tell him he's doing a horrible job.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. A bunch of whales on the View. Okay, let's go to India Coal is back in business. Michael, we just ran this story about King Coal last week again, and now we're running another one. King Coal is coming back with a big bang, said Anil Kumar Jha, the chairman of Jindal Power. Holy smokes. There's no talk at all of phasing down coal at the event. Rather, the debate centered around on how just high coal's demand will rise, with the consensus that it will jump to 1.4 billion tons per annum by 2030 from around 1 billion tons currently. How in the world, Michael, I want to ask you this one right now. How in the world can India make their quote unquote climate goals by increasing their goal from now on?
I think everything is a trade-off. I think if they don't increase their energy output and continue to provide low cost energy to their billion plus growing population, they're going to find themselves in a position of very negative growth, or not negative growth, but slowing growth. I mean, they're one of the fastest growing economies right now. I mean,
I think they just took China in population.
Yep. And from an economy standpoint, they're booming right now. And we've seen it here in the United States. What's the easiest way to trigger a recession? Make the cost of energy skyrocket. Europe, energy prices have skyrocketed. So
right.
India's continued to buy Russian crude. Why? Because they support the Russians? No, but they like cheap oil. They like cheap fuel. And so they're going to lean that way as long as the incentive structure remains the way it is. I mean, you can commit to anything, Stu. I'm going to commit to going on a diet starting tomorrow, but we'll check in 2 months, see how I'm doing.
I'm holding my breath.
Oh, exactly. So you're holding, that's about as long as the diet will last. But if you can keep, if there's no incentive for me to, if you're not going to pay me for 1 month, which, boo-hoo, it may encourage me to go on a diet. So I say all that to say they're doing the right thing for them.
Exactly.
You can't necessarily be mad about it. Would I wish they were buying our LNG? Sure. But where would the LNG come from? We can't export it enough to satisfy their need quite yet. They're going to go get it from Qatar.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Yesterday, we talked about China, how much they are building. They produce unbelievable amounts of energy via coal. They're doing 2 a week, just by that. So anyway, I just wanted to shout out. And you've always heard me say this. I love India. I love the leadership for trying to get low cost power. And I know you're shaking your head. Yes, you're already tired of saying it. Okay, I'm going to the next story. Don't kill yourself yet. Okay. The world needs collaborative competition in order to capture US 4 trillion long duration opportunity. Michael, let me give you a little let me use my title translator device. Let me open it up here, kind of like a Spock. What do you call it?
Okay.
The communicator. Boop, 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 boop. You know, I'm going through this here. Long duration energy storage was firmly on the agenda in the energy storage summit in the UK, in the EU, and talking points. Here's the thing. Some grids have already passed that mark and are far more, and for the most part, where the biggest market for battery storage tend to be found. Here's what like Fry Battery is doing. They're putting in plants. They're coming into Georgia. They've already bought land and they're coming in to get some of that $4 trillion investment money or subsidies from the infrastructure bill or the Porculus bill, as Dan Bongino would call it. So there is a really big problem going along in the world is, does energy and does manufacturing leave Europe to come to the US because we're printing money? Sounds like that's what everybody wants, besides, going to the border and coming on in. They're coming in after that free Porculus money, Michael.
They should retitle this article retitle the article because it's extremely confusing. To world needs capitalism to capture $4 trillion US long-term storage market. I mean, that's really what they want.
It is. It's a poorly written title.
It's an unleash capitalism on it. It's like, wow, you're brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what we're paying you all this money for? To tell us maybe capitalism might be the best way to create the correct incentives to drive prices down for the consumer in order to create new technology, open up new markets. You're right. You're fair enough. Nice.
Wow. Yeah.
How can we get ourselves on one of these committees, Stu? I want to be on one of these committees. So I can just go out and say, hey, guess what, Stu? I'll go on Fox News and supply equals demand. Oh, he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
You know what I think we ought to do is try to figure out how to do that. I got some contacts that I can reach out to, Michael, and let's start taking polls. Who's that pollster that always makes bazillions of dollars and he's always wrong?
Frank Luntz?
Yeah, thank you. He turns out to be a klutz. So
Frank the Klutz Lutz. We love it. What's next?
Well, let's go to Mexico. Love me some Mexico. Mexico approves new Tesla plant in northern Mexico. I actually like this article, Michael. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. How do you pronounce his last name? Obrador.
I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, I'm going to hold my pinky out. Obrador. That almost sounded like it. Has announced that the electric car manufacturer Tesla will open a large plant for $10 billion for the region. Would be up to worth $10 billion for the region. This is as of yesterday. We talked about in Germany. Tesla is now they're manufacturing 4,000 a week in Germany. This will represent a considerable investment in many jobs. This is huge. I welcome a plant going to Mexico. And I'll tell you, it's refreshing to see trade with Mexico. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's Tesla wants to be a global auto manufacturer. So what they're doing is they're going around to, they went to Europe, they went to Germany, they went to China, They started obviously in the U.S. Now they're moving to Mexico. Again, I think it's interesting that, it's in northern Mexico and maybe not somewhere that's maybe more centrally located to South America. A lot of these cars are going to come back to the American market. No one's screaming about outsourcing, except, and that's, one of the big things that everybody's worried about is we got to create jobs in America. So I'm all about it. I just think it's interesting that the selective outrage of not hearing that this Tesla plant is not coming in America does surprise me a bit.
Okay, here's why. Let me give you the inside baseball, what's not in this article. Okay. The inside baseball on this article and having that 10 billion worth of a plant going into northern Mexico is because we supply a lot of natural gas, low cost natural gas, and energy is cheaper in northern Mexico than it is in the southern part. The other piece of this puzzle is the president of Mexico has stood up against the Biden administration, and he is being held in disdain for not increasing his energy prices. He's trying to reduce his energy prices. So Elon is actually doing a phenomenal business decision by getting his plant down there in Mexico where they're trying to keep the cost down. I thought that was pretty cool.
No, I think I'm not going to bet against Elon Musk. I'm just saying I think it's interesting he's not catching much flack for this when, build the plants at home.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but then our president can't even build a bear. Those little things where you go in and build your own teddy bear. Okay, let's go to SLB New Energy to target billion-dollar opportunities only. SLB is Schlumberger. SLB, known as Schlumberger. That's one of the few things I can actually pronounce correctly. Until 3.5 months ago, is aiming for billion-dollar business opportunities under its new energy unit. It's going after carbon, hydrogen, geothermal, geoenergy, energy storage, and critical minerals. Boy, are they breaking out into it. The unit is expected to bring in around $3 billion by the end of this decade and at least $10 billion by the end of next decade, focusing on these 5 areas. CCUS, carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration is the fastest growing opportunity with the Inflation Reduction Act. Michael, can you see why I picked this article with the other one?
Yeah, I mean, you wanted another opportunity to bring up the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah, the Porculus bill.
It's there. I mean, I think it's laughable. I think Schlumberger.
Do you think, and I want to ask your opinion, Michael, because BP made the switch. Looney, he was out there, he was leading the charge on the renewables, saying he just went one step below woke and said, hey, we have got to be a renewable company. Several months ago, investing hypocrisy hit him about the eyes and face. And he said, we're going to start investing in oil and gas and less in renewables, because how many billions did he lose in that?
He lost a lot. So President Gavin Rennick, he's the president of SLB New Energy. Right. I mean, this just IR guy of the week right here. Okay? IR guy of the week right here. Okay. Second question he gets asked. The new energy focus area, because remember, this is a Q&A with Bloomberg. So they've got the article. Then at the end of the article, they do this little Q&A. The question is, the new energy focus areas you have identified: lithium, geothermal, geoenergy, low carbon, hydrogen, carbon capture, sequestration, and stationary energy storage seem to be the preferred sectors for many other players. Where do you think your winning edge is? Here's his answer. We have a number of things that we can leverage. We are fundamentally a technology developer. What? We are fundamentally a technology developer, so we can bring to market a new technology and deliver it to over 120 companies in the world. I did not know Thomas Edison was working for Schlumberger. No, we're fundamentally a technology developer.
Hang on.
Yeah,
Hang
and
on.
I'm fundamentally a software engineer.
Hang on. I've got Shaggy on the phone. Zoinks!
Well, I mean,
Bro,
it's just
good.
IR guy of the week. I mean,
Oh my
it's put them
goodness.
up on the candidates. We're fundamentally
Oh
technology
my
developer.
goodness. Anyway, you can't buy this kind of entertainment on the news desk today.
No, I can't wait till Schlumberger goes bankrupt trying to do critical mineral mining. I can't wait. I can't wait till they try to buy a mine and just it all goes south quickly.
Let me throw this squirrel in the briar patch. And that is when you sit back and take a look, Russia is just now opening up several lithium mines and some other things. They're going to start cornering the market on a lot of this stuff. So it's going to be really ugly. We're going to be left holding the ugly baby at the doorstep.
Admit the baby's ugly. I'm starting that movement. Admit the baby's ugly.
Ugly. That's what my parents did.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy with you.
Thank you very much.
Boom. Anything else?
Nope, I'm off to you.
I mean, I'll keep it short, folks. Overall markets, we're actually down today about a 0.5 percentage point. NASDAQ tumbled about 0.8 of a percentage point. Everyone is still kind of just awaiting the Fed's decision. I think until that date, which is in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I think is when the Fed will come out again. It's all likelihood we'll see a 50 basis points increase in the interest rates. And I think you're just going to see a slow, ever so slightly 0.5 percentage point off, 0.5 percentage point off as we kind of roll into whatever that ends up being. On the crude oil side, we're actually trading it at about day and a half highs here, 77.72 as we record this at about 7:15 the night before. Hard at work for you guys. So not to pat ourselves on the back here. I think one of the more critical things holding prices up again is China demand. We did see the EIA report come out today, and actually was a little bit lighter than the API expected. We were expecting about a build of about 6.2 million barrels out of the strategic or out of the commercial Cushing stocks. We only got about a 1.2 million barrel build. Now we do see a adjustment of about there was an adjustment about 200,000 barrels. So you round that number up, you're looking at about 1.4, 1.5. So a little, you're talking 4 or 5 million barrels less than we were expecting. That definitely is going to help support prices, specifically when, to swing it back, the EIA swing it back a little bit more into the bull side where it's sort of, each of these storage reports have really act as a laggard on prices. So it's welcome news. We did see the split between WTI and Brent continue to widen. Brent currently trading right now at 85.85. So, the dynamics are different. Yes, crude is a global market, but there are some different dynamics that are causing Brent to go up. And one of these shows, we'll dive into it more closely. But $2.77 over on natural gas is the current trading price. Again, as we record here, about 7:15 the night before. I think the big thing we're looking for is the natural gas storage numbers. They will drop Thursday as you guys listen to this, but for us it'll be tomorrow. Range of expectations anywhere between a 66 to 84 BCS draw in the natural gas storage. Last year we had about 137 BCF draw, and the 5-year rolling average is somewhere around 134. So significantly less, again, due to that warmer weather coming in. I think the short-term forecasts do look a little bit colder, so that's what's supporting prices in the short term. We have seen Freeport ramp up a little bit, so there is a little bit of LNG starting to get exported. But again, it's a little bit wait and see mode as natural gas goes. The unfortunate Range Resources Pioneer deal. I've been hearing some interesting things on the back end about what's going on there. I doubt anything will end up coming true, but I do think Pioneer's in the move and attempting to buy somebody. I do think there's a few more M&A deals out there. So we will be covering all that. Earnings season is about wrapping up. I think this is probably the last fun earnings seasons we'll have. I think Q1 earnings that come out in about a month. It'll be interesting, especially with natural gas prices being so low.
Yes.
Specifically, I think there's going to be some players like Chesapeake, Comstock. We're going to, it's going to be interesting. These Appalachian players, the prices got even down to below $2 for them, especially on their net back pricing. So it's very interesting to see our boy CNX over at CNX. It could be a spicy Q1. But I think a lot of those people, it's going to be interesting to see what their hedge positions were at, where they're able to hedge when prices were high. So they're maybe making something a little bit, at that 350 mark. But it'll be interesting to see how many of these unhedged players get kind of slammed.
My old saying, or our old saying, good management, good numbers. And Nick is one of the good ones out there.
So, absolutely. So hopefully you hedged out there in Appalachia. Hopefully. You got anything else for today's show?
No, it was absolutely fantastic. The ugly baby is on the doorstep.
Yeah. So with that thought, guys, we'll let you get out of here. Finish up your day. We appreciate you guys checking us out. EnergyNewsBeat.com. For Stuart Turley, I'm Michael Tanner. We'll see you tomorrow. Maybe.